you've had some other like pretty bad injuries that I feel like if they didn't happen, you might be in a completely different place in your life.
100%. So people might be listening to me thinking that I wanted to win a gold medal at the Olympic Games and I chose not to stay. So I had the most heart-rending, dramatic qualification to the Olympics. 2011, 2012, riddled with injuries, riddled with certain things going on. And I finally qualified. And there's a whole hour talking just that, right? Overcoming deficits, which never been done before in Olympic qualification history. I finally qualified after 2.5 years of struggle. I missed the 2008 Olympics because of an injury. So in 2008, I was 19, I'd done my left shoulder and I missed the Olympics because I missed the qualifiers because of that. 2012, I got kicked off the Great Britain team because I was injured, even though I was the reigning junior Olympic champion, reigning junior world champion. It kicked me off. I had to work my ass off to get back on the squad. Got back on the squad. I beat the #1 in the world. I had my right shoulder out for X amount of time. Had to rush back for the second qualifier, the final qualifier. I got back. I finally qualified. Then 5 weeks before the Olympic Games, my sister rang me. So we trained in Sheffield, which is the city up north in England. The Great Britain team trained in Sheffield. And 8:20 on a Tuesday morning, my sister Joanne called me. She went, Anthony, crying her eyes out, said, "You've got to come home now. Mum is about to die." And I went, fuck. And my mum, my hero, I grew up, mum, I've got 4 sisters. Our dad wasn't around ever. So we're a really close family. We're like, go to war for each other. We're standing on someone's shoe on the train. We're so close. And then my mum, I was 23 at the time, but I was still very much a mummy's boy. Still am very much a mummy's boy. My hero. And yeah, I sat by her bedside for 4 weeks. In the Olympics, we were in 5 weeks. When they called me the Tuesday, so 5 Fridays later, the opening ceremony, the next day I boxed. And for 4 weeks, I'd mentally pulled out of the Olympic Games because I thought, how can I go and fight at the Olympic Games, even though it meant everything to me, when my mum is lying in bed fighting for her life and she was in a coma and it looked like she should, the bleed that she had on her brain, she should have died like that. And how she didn't is, I've heard doctors say it was a miracle. Like doctors that are scientists that don't really believe in like miracles, I've said it was a miracle because it was such a bad one. So for 4 weeks, I didn't do a thing. Didn't do a punch, didn't do a sit-up. And then my family and my then girlfriend, now my wife, said to me, look, you got to do the Olympic Games because when mum gets better, now none of us thought she was going to, but when mum gets better, she's going to feel awful knowing that you didn't do the games because of her. I thought, oh man, the ultimate guilt trip, right? But they were right, because had I not done it, mum survived, she'd have literally, that would have killed her, because she knew at this time, I lived in Sheffield with the GB squad to come back like one weekend every 2 or 3, 4 weeks, and loads of washing. Boss, mum would wash it, wash my hand wrap, she'd iron them for me. She'd make me the little pack lunch boxes to try to drive. And so I was very much a mummy's boy, right? I'm my only boy, 5 kids. And they're right. And I went to Sheffield. We had 1 week of training left before the Olympics. We went to Stratford for the Olympic Games. And then I had and there was a family and friends day, right? And everyone else who went through the Olympics could invite their family and friends to watch them train that one last day. And then the coaches knew what I was going through. I'd been away for a month, but dads didn't know, so wanted to keep it like no secret. Had my phone in my pocket on my shorts when I was sparring, my last spar, because I was next to Kim. So when they call, I've got to answer. So I'm sparring out called Fred Evans. Fred Evans is really, really good. He had all his family around the ring, whacking the ring, cheering them on for this last spar. I didn't want to be there. The bell's gone. We did 4 3-minute rounds. I come out. I threw a sloppy jab. The first punch I've thrown in a month. He comes out, bang, slips it, body shot, and he breaks my rib. And he cracked my rib and dislocated it. And you can feel it now, like here, it still popped out. And I somehow got through the spar. I sat on the ring apron. I sweat a lot when I train. Had all my grease on my face, and like the sweat and the grease were masquerading the tears. And I was sitting on the ring apron. I was crying my eyes out, thinking I had a dislocated shoulder, which wasn't healed properly because I had to rush it. It came out in one of my pro fights 3 years later. I had tears in both my Achilles tendons, which would later keep me out for 2 years. I had 4 surgeries on them. They were buggered. my rib is broken, and then worst of all, I thought my mum's gonna die any second. I'm never gonna see her again, and that was my Olympic Games. That's my build up to Olympic Games. That was my build up, right?
Yeah.
And then went to London. I got a really hard draw. I beat a Dominican in my first fight. I beat the Ukrainian in my second fight. The Ukrainian was assuring for the gold medal. Hadn't lost in 2 years. Got Ivan Koitov. He was unbelievable. The World Championships, the first Olympic qualifier, when I hurt my shoulder, he won them. Got the gold medal. I think he had 7 fights, knocked out 6, smashed the Japanese guy in the final. He was mustard. And nobody gave me a chance of beating him. Nobody gave me a chance of beating him. I talk about work ethic. I talk about belief a lot. Work ethic and belief are the 2 things you need, that anybody needs in the world to be successful at anything. And when they go to these like big like major championships, you sit in the team meeting room, and when the draw is done, and a manager says, "Right, you're boxing him. If you beat him, the next day you're boxing him." They got to me and said to me, I was the first person boxed on the Great Britain squad the day after the ceremony, opening ceremony. They went, "Anthony, you're boxing today in the afternoon against a Dominican." Right. And I swear on my life, I'll never forget this. The team manager did this, right? He went, "And if you beat him, you got the Ukrainian." And that I thought, you bastard, right? That face, because he knew what I was going through at the time.
Yeah.
That face meant, at least you've got your Team GB tracksuit. At least you can say you're an Olympian. There's no way you're beating this guy, right? Like, because even if I was fit, healthy, no shoulder, Achilles, or rib, that's a tough fight for me. But the fact my mum's in hospital and I'm not sleeping, I'm losing weight because I'm sick with worry and I'm stressed now every second of the day, generally thinking she's going to die, having surgeries on the brain every other day to keep her alive, respiratory problems. Like, there's no way I'm going to beat this guy. I beat this guy. I boxed this lad in the most unbelievable fight in Olympic boxing history, I believe. Generally was. It was a barn burner. And I beat him. And then I fought the German the next day, and I got my bronze medal. Then I boxed a Brazilian. And like the fight, and he beat me. But the frustrating thing was, which I'm kind of getting over it now, 10 years on, but I struggled with this for a long time because he was the worst person I boxed at the Olympic Games. The Dominican, the Ukrainian, and German had all beaten him that Olympic year. By the time I got to the semi-final, I was just fucked, mate. I had, like, physically, emotionally, I could barely get my head out. I had nothing left. And, I had nothing left. And he beat me. And I was gutted because, like, I deserved the gold medal more than anybody, I think, in the Olympic Games, in any of the sports, any of the disciplines. But, I didn't get it. And that's something I've got something of, again, another life lesson. You don't always get what you deserve. You don't. And you got to get up and crack on. And I had a choice. So we go back to the reason why I told the story is because I had a choice to make. I wanted the Olympic gold medal more than anything.
Yeah.
But what I had done, the Olympics, which I'd watched every Olympics since my first memory in my life, I was 3.5 years old. I watched Linford Christie, who's a British sprinter, win the gold medal in Barcelona in 1992. He stood there with the Union Jack. I do it when I walk to the ring now. Union Jack flag behind his head. He won the gold medal, and in 9.8 or something, 9.9. Like, and Christie Linford is a British hero, right? And that was the first memory of my life. And I had to do the Olympic Games, win the gold medal, and follow in his footsteps. And what I'd watch every Olympics, winter and summer, from being 3.5 to being in them when I was 23. And then my mum got really ill, and after the Olympics in August, I had no idea if she was going to live or die or not, because she was still on the edge. Every day was the doctors, she ain't out the woods. She's not out the woods yet. And then I realized that, like, I couldn't wait 4 more years and go back to Rio Olympics, because what I'd done, the Olympics and my mum's illness had become one, and I couldn't separate them. Like, the best time of my life, also the worst time of my life. So I made a real tough decision to turn pro. And that's the only reason why I turned pro, because I just couldn't go through 3.5 more years of boxing, going boxing all these little countries you have to fight out, because Olympic boxing is not glamorous. The only glamorous bit is the Olympics. Sure. The other, like, 300 and whatever many days when you're not in the Olympics is shit, right? Like going to Kazakhstan, eating horse meat, and then getting your head punched in by Kazakhstanis that pretend they're middleweights, but they're really heavyweights. You know, it's difficult. So I tried to turn pro, and then the gold medal was then the world title as a pro. You know, and I was mum. She thankfully, touch wood, she's able to like survive, and then I was like, if I turn pro and become a world champion, earn a lot of money, I can help pay for her care. And I was 23 at the time. Life becomes more of a business because, you know, unfortunately, you need money to live. And then so I turned pro, and that was just really, you know, as mad as you think the Olympic story was. My pro career was 10 times madder and more heartbreaking, believe it or not.